Hi folks. Children of Dune by Frank Herbert was published in 1976. So where are we? We're mostly on Arrakis, or Dune, with some time also spent on Seleucus Secundus, the home planet of the former Emperor Shaddam IV. Paul Atreides, or Muad'Dib, has long disappeared into legend. Blinded by atomics at the end of Dune Messiah, Fremen law and tradition required him to walk into the desert, never to be seen again. His sister Alia is regent until his children Leto and Ganimar are old enough to rule. And these three make a kind of an odd group, all of them having layered personalities due to their ingestion of the water of life. So they've got all of their ancestors. So each can call upon or be influenced by that multitude of ancestor personalities with all of their attendant memories, which makes for some complex plotting and counter-plotting. In fact, that's a theme of the whole book. House Carino, previously the ruling family, are down but not out. They're busy scheming to rebuild their influence. In fact, their situation somewhat mirrors the Atreides, in that they have a female regent who's aunt to the underage Faradan, who's a thoughtful, intelligent boy who they hope will one day regain the throne that was lost to the Atreides. And in fact, he reminds me of a young Paul Atreides. Both Jessica and Duncan, familiar characters, end up training this boy. That's the price that they have to pay as part of a bargain, characteristically convoluted bargain. But of course, they don't just agree to train him. There are ulterior motives and subtle ploys underway as they do. Jessica's agreed to train him in the Bene Gesserit way, to make him a sort of male Bene Gesserit. Back to the whole Kwisatz Haderach thing, and can they get the bloodline going again? But she allows him to allows his training to kind of influence his behaviour and his actions, or rather, she trains him so that his actions and behaviours will be in a certain way, which will be favourable to what she wants. And she's got convoluted sort of bloodline plans at the forefront of her mind. She can't resist the Bene Gesserit sort of genetic bloodline management with a view to having something which will fulfill prophecies and so on. And then there's a mysterious Fremen preacher who wanders in and out of the desert from time to time. He's involved in the plotting as well, just to add to the fun. And when his somewhat inevitable identity is revealed, he adds yet more spice, pun intended, to the convoluted interplay. In the meantime, for a number of years now, the terraforming of Arrakis is progressing at pace. The more abundant water pitting hardcore fundamentalist Fremen, the old school, against their softer, water-rich brethren. And that's another source of plot and counterplot. And these changes in the ecology of the planet are also affecting the life cycle of the sandworm, which has a knock-on impact on or will eventually have a knock-on impact on the spice production, and therefore the sort of revenue that the Atreides family can generate, and the source of their power and control over the empire. And those consequences will need to be either dealt with or exploited, depending on your perspective. There's a lot of plot and counterplot in this book. It's often not clear who's working with who, with what knowledge, or to what end. And it's a lot to keep track of, and I confess I didn't always succeed. So what did I like or dislike? Not content with the political intrigue, Herbert also throws in some religion, philosophy and ecology, and it's a heady mix, and I think Children of Dune maybe got bogged down in a few places as a result. I mainly sort of zoned out for those short sections and did my best to pick up the story when I tuned back in again. Jessica was missing in action in Dune Messiah, presumably mourning the loss of her Duke Leto. And I kind of missed her influence on events, so I was very happy to see her back in the game, as it were, in this book. But is she now fully back with the Bene Gesserit, one of the girls again, or is she still loyal to the Atreides family? I do think there's more of a Dune vibe in this book than there was in Dune Messiah, by which I mean the sort of intricate detail, the world building, sort of layering on top of what's gone before. I think it's a stronger and more interesting book than Dune Messiah as a result. Building on the intricate world that Herbert created, I do think this would be a challenging book to just pick up and read as a standalone novel. If you hadn't already read Dune and Dune Messiah. In fact, I'm not sure why you would even try. I'd say, in fact, it actively rewards those who have made that investment. So you probably shouldn't even try to read it without having done that. The Machiavellian scheming, plots within plots, shifting alliances and loyalties was all done expertly by Herbert, and I sort of defy anyone to keep track of all of it, honestly. I enjoyed the multiple conflicting personalities in the three characters thus afflicted, so Alia and the twins. Their internal battle to be in charge of yourself was interesting. They handled it in quite different ways with varying degrees of success. I think Alia spends most of the book losing that battle to an ancestor who is also a familiar and dastardly foe. She's effectively possessed, which is a big no-no in the Fremen and Bene Gesserit sort of ideology. So she keeps that to herself, clearly. But that individual who is possessing her, that individual's proclivities and lust for power and appetite for chaos drive her for most of the book, with potentially grave consequences for the Empire and for her herself. I enjoyed seeing more of Duncan Idaho, now married to Alia. I thought that the pain he felt at Alia's descent into abomination or possession was well done, and I thought also well done was his steely resolve later in the book. Leto and Gannimer's journey, their different ways of handling their split personalities, I thought was interesting. Their anticipation of the various plots to get rid of them or to otherwise manipulate them, I thought was fun. There's so much knowledge and experience buried in their heads in the form of their sort of chain of ancestors that they just run rings around all the adults around them, absolutely wipe the floor with them. I quite enjoyed that. Leto undergoes quite a surprising transformation later in the book. I say surprising, I have read the book before and the one after it, so I kind of had a vague idea where it went, but I'd forgotten exactly how that started, so it was fun to read that again. I don't really have much of anything negative to say about Children of Dune. I am easily confused, so as I said before, it wasn't always easy or possible for me to keep track of the many the interconnected plot threads, literally plot threads, but that's probably my only gripe. But I think that says more about me and my ability to keep track of things than it does about Herbert's writing. I think the strongest praise I can give Children of Dune is that I think it gives Dune itself a good run for its money. Only falling down as Herbert perhaps tries to jam too many plot ingredients into the book. Overall, I give this book a very strong 9 out of 10. The big question for me now is, do I go on to reread the 4th book or even the 5th and 6th as well? What do you recommend I do? Should I stick or twist? As always, thanks for watching, and until the next time, goodbye for now.